Hello, this is Cho of the Shiny Colors Discord, and welcome to another episode of The Shiny Review. Today we have 3 new cards to talk about: a new Produce SSR for Sakuya, a Support SSR for Mano, and a new Event Produce SR for Hiyori. Starting things off, we have Sakuya. Continuing the SSR5 train for Antika, Sakuya is our latest card. In many ways, this Sakuya felt relatively predictable, in that she's both a useful bonus for Dance and Visual Antika, especially for Visual. Having access to very high damage that can both benefit the Revenge playstyle, along with Attention Down, means that Sakuya becomes a great flex SSR, and can finally replace initial SR Sakuya for most players. While she doesn't have the same level of buffing as many other Antika units, she does have a ton of potential damage on the board, with a Dance 8.5 and Visual 9.5 respectively, generally useful passives, and current generation uncaps. I think this Sakuya is another great unit if you're looking for a reroll unit, and she's especially great if you love running Mamimi 4, or want to try the lesser appreciated Antika setups. Her roles are Attacker, Revenge, and Attention Down, and I moderately recommend pulling for Sakuya. She's very good, but it depends on whether or not you are a dedicated Antika player, or if you really like the idea of Dance and Visual Antika. Sakuya's initial skill is a Dance 3.5 appeal that lowers your attention by 20% for 3 turns. This then links into a Dance 5.0 that scales based on how low your mental is. At max, she unlocks a Visual 4.5 appeal that lowers your attention by 30% for 3 turns, and links into a Visual 5.0 appeal that scales based on how low your mental is. Her 1-star passive is a Dance Visual 25% up that requires the turn count to be 4 or later. This has a 20% chance to activate twice, and her 1-star also unlocks an additional Dance plus 50 uncap. At 2-star, Sakuya gains 2 separate passives. The first is a Dance Visual 30% up that also lowers your attention by 20%, and it requires your mental to be 49% or lower. This has a 30% chance to activate twice. The second passive is a Dance Visual 10% up as long as your mental is 75% or higher. This has a 50% chance to activate twice. Her 3-star uncap is a Dance Visual plus 100, and also has a 4-star uncap of Visual plus 150. Her memory appeal, once maxed out, is a Visual 2.0 that links into a combined Dance Visual 2.0 on all judges that scales based on how low your mental is. For support recommendations, things will look very familiar from the Mamimi 5 review, as much stays the same here. Include your Antika supports as you can to capitalize on Sakuya's strengths, or if you're building for Grad, and splash other supports that will help in building her into a strong unit. Since this isn't Mamimi, you're able to bring in many of the powerful Mamimi supports for Sakuya, which can be absolutely beneficial to your build. As for alternatives, SP Masteries as always are appreciated when producing cards, and we continue the same trend as before. Adjust your supports based on if Dance or Visual is your preferred route, and I'm certain you'll find success. For team recommendations, it's going to look very similar to how we looked at Mamimi 5 before, with some small adjustments. Expanding upon our thoughts from the Mamimi 5 review, we swap out previous Sakuya options with our newest card, and of course now we can have Mamimi 4 as our center, for the visual side of things. And it actually works out pretty well. You can choose to swap out SSR3 Kiriko with SSR2 if you want more attention lowering as opposed to buffing. Dance Antika will look very much the same, except we have swapped out the Sakuya for the new one. Dance Antika received a nice bonus with Sakuya, working well with SSR3 Yuika to make a fairly cohesive team, with 2 fresh faces in the form of Sakuya and Mamimi. Sakuya as a center earns an A+, the same as Mamimi. Sakuya has a reasonably solid memory appeal, especially when you consider the backup AoE damage her Link appeal provides. Like I said with Mamimi, Sakuya is a clear example of the new design philosophy for Antika memory appeals, and Sakuya should serve nicely if you pick her up. She's not groundbreaking, but reasonably appreciated if you wanted a slight change-up or missed out on Mamimi 5. As a unit, she gets a B+ to an A+. I think she's very solid. Sakuya receives decent marks for having access to slightly weaker but higher utility passives than Mamimi, as an example. While I can't say she's necessarily a must-have unit, she still has a very reasonable amount of power for most Antika teams that can choose to run her, and can help at boosting the appearance rate for her 2 attributes over the powerful Vocal Antika in the near future. Next we have Mano. Mano's latest Gacha SSR support is very much in line with what we saw with Meguru's latest. Swapping to Vocal Dance as her primary with some small tweaks in one particular passive, Mano stands strong as a pretty good and effective reroll SSR. While her effectiveness at 0 stars is much to be desired, she really hits her stride in a good way once she gets a few extra copies, and will serve nicely in building teams that lack limited illumination stars. Her support skills are Idol's Bond, Promise Recovery, Rest Boost, and Stamina Support, and her unique support skills are Vocal Mastery Vocal and Dance Mastery Dance, which both reach +8 at level 75. Her support appeal does scale, starting at a Vocal 2.0, Dance 1.0, until it's level 60, which it becomes a 2.1 and 1.1 respectively, and when maxed out at level 80, she has a Vocal 2.5 and Dance 1.5 combined appeal. Her TFD idea is Vocal, and her Insight token for Grad is Vocal. Mano's 1-star passive is a Dance 30% up that requires you to be in the Vocal position. This has a 20% chance to activate once. Her 2-star passive is a Vocal Dance 35% up that requires Mano on your team. This has a 20% chance to activate once. Her 3-star uncap is a Dance plus 100, and her 4-star appeal is a Vocal Dance 1.5 appeal that buffs your Vocal and Dance attribute by 15% for 3 turns. Her event passive is a Vocal Dance 20% up that requires Mano on your team, and it has a 10% chance to activate twice. Mano earns an A-. Many of my issues with Mano are similar to how I felt about the previous Meguru support. The masteries feel a little weak compared to other permanent units, but the passives are fine, and the 1-star passive is actually more interesting than you might first think, as this card can benefit Mano Dance teams a fair bit for the Vocal position. Since monostat teams have to make sure that their units work off attribute or off position, having access to a Dance buff that specifically wants you in the Vocal position can absolutely help out when it comes to building. She's also a very nice true end card. I maybe recommend pulling for this Mano, it's up to you. She is a permanent card, so she may come home sooner than you think. Lastly, we have Hiyori. Our event PSR this time is Hiyori, and this card is very strange, and feels almost like a card that's been in the vault maybe a little too long. Her appeal damage is lacking and all over the place, being a Vocal Dance appeal that links into Visual at 0 stars, and a Dance Visual appeal that links into Vocal at 4 stars. Her passives are single stat, but they're spread across all 3 appeal types, trying to play up an all-rounder role, but most of the passives miss the mark entirely. The biggest value this Hiyori brings is a new costume change for any of your Hiyori cards once you max her out from the event, but otherwise I see very little value in using this Hiyori over any other existing Hiyori SR or SSR, and perhaps even her Idol Road SSR could see more active play. Farm for her at your discretion, and appreciate the cute art. Her rolls are tri-stat, and she exists. You might as well farm her for the costume, but not really for much else. So what's going on here? Hiyori's initial appeal is a Vocal 1.5 combined with a Dance 0.5 that links into a Visual 1.5 appeal. At max, she has access to a Dance 2.0 combined with a Visual 1.0 that links into a Vocal 1.5 appeal. Her 1-star passive is a Dance 12% up that requires your mental to be 74% or lower. This has a 40% chance to activate once. Her 2-star passive is a Dance 30% up that requires the turn count to be 3 or later. This has a 40% chance to activate once. Her 3-star uncap is a Dance plus 50, and her memory appeal, when maxed out, is a Dance 50% buff for 4 turns that links into a Visual 1.5 appeal to all judges. For support recommendations, any of the Illumination Star supports are the most ideal selections for Hiyori, as you can buff up multi-stats while promoting what you can for her. It does hurt that many of the useful multi-stat supports are limited, but at least the newer Meguru and Mano can be found at any time and absolutely can benefit this Hiyori. Hiyori as a center gets a C- to a D+. This card has 2 things going for it that do not work together at all. If the link appeal had been Dance, or the initial buff could have been Visual, then she could have at least been a more budget version of Sakuya's initial SR, and might have had some niche usage for Mono Dance or Mono Visual. As a result, this memory appeal is really not that good, and I'd probably not consider her much of a center at all. As a unit, she gets a very easy D. Just no. Her appeals are way too weak for what you're getting. Her 2-star passive is the only real redeeming factor of her card that almost every other Hiyori SR has done better. Again, I believe the best aspect of this Hiyori is to unlock a costume for your other Hiyori cards, and that's most likely how it will stay. And that's going to do it for the video today. Thank you so much as always for watching. Next time we'll be talking about whatever card comes next. We've also got another side project in the background that I don't know when it's going to get done, to be honest. There's been a lot of technical mishaps with it, and just making sure that all the fact checking on it is correct as well. So please look forward to it when we get to it. So, till next time, I've been Cho, thanks for watching, and have a wonderful rest of your day.